it's Olivia from Girlybunches, and in this week's video I'm going to be showing you how to do this textured stitch. It's called a side saddle cluster stitch, and you can see that it's made of these little clusters, and you can see that they're sort of worked along the side and they sort of twist that way and that way. So you can see why it's called that. I think it's lovely. I've only done it in this plain yarn because that's all I had, but I think working with a variegated yarn you'll get really interesting sort of movement where you have all the different colours coming in and out. So very simple to do, you know me, I like simple, so I'm going to get on and show you how to do this. So to do this stitch you will need a multiple of 5 plus 2 chains. So I've started off here with 17 chains, so that's 15 being the multiple of 5 plus 2, and yeah, so multiples of 5 plus 2 is what you need to get started. And to start off with, what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So that's 1, 2. So I am British and I use British terminology when I call that a double crochet, but you may know that as a single. I had to think then. So I'm going to carry on and do that. So that's 1, 2. So into that second one there, just going to do a double crochet. And again, you might know that as a single, but I'm British, so I'm using British terminology. So there's my double. And the next thing I want to do now is chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to work 4 trebles together. So to do that, what you do is you start off the stitch by putting the yarn over, put the hook into the next chain along, grab the yarn, pull it through, work the first part of that treble, but then don't work those 2 last loops off the hook. Start doing the next treble, which we're going to do into the next stitch along. And again, just work that first part and then leave that loop on the hook. And we're going to do that 2 more times. So we're moving into the next stitches along, chains in this case, because we're doing the first row. So I've got 1, 2, 3 trebles started. I want 1 more, so that's going into the next stitch along, which we can see that okay. There we go. So I now have 1, 2, 3, 4 trebles started but not finished, and that loop there is from that third chain where the 3 chains that we started off from. So you should have 4, 5 loops on your hook. And then what we're going to do now is just finish all of those stitches off in one go by putting the yarn over and pulling that through all of those loops on the hook, and that's kind of that's called your cluster in this instance, but they would be known as trebles together. So if the pattern is written TR together, TOG, that means that you do them together, but they're also known as clusters in some patterns. Okay, so now we're going to chain 1, and then into the next stitch along we're just going to do a double like that. Okay, so now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, so just like this bit here, and then we're going to repeat this into the next 4 stitches along. So we're going to start by doing our cluster again. So yarn over, into the chain, start off the treble, but stop when you've got 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, into the next chain along, start off the treble, and then stop. So you don't finish it off. Grab some more yarn, and we're going to do that 2 more times like we did before, into the next stitches along. And if it's new to you doing these stitches together, these clusters, just take your time and you will get it. It's just remembering not to finish off those stitches, which feels a little bit strange. Okay, so now we're ready to finish off those. The yarn over and pull it through all of the loops like that. And then we're going to chain 1, and again we're going to do a double crochet into that next stitch along. So we're going to do that 1 more time. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do our 4 trebles together to make a cluster. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Finish those off like that, chain 1, and if we did our chains right at the beginning like I did, doesn't always happen I might add, we should have 1 stitch left here to do our double. And that is your first row done. So it looks something like that. Okay, so we're ready to do our second row now. And we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to turn the work around, so we're now going the right way. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next cluster. So what I mean by that is we're going to do 1 double crochet into the top of that cluster, which is those 4 trebles together from that side. And if you look at it from this side, you can see that that's where you put your hook, which is in the top of there. So you're going to do 1 double crochet there. Okay, and then we're going to do 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do our 4 trebles together again to make this cluster, but instead of working into the chains, we're going to work into that chain space, that 3 chain space that we did there. So yarn over, put the hook into that gap there, grab the yarn, start off the treble and stop, and then start working your next one and stop. And as you can see, we're working into that 3 chain space. Okay, and then 2 more times into that 3 chain space. Did I say 3? 2 more times, I mean. And then that's our 1, 2, 3, 4 trebles, and that's our 3 chains. And then we're just going to finish that off by yarn over, pulling it all the way through, and then we chain 1, and this time we're going to double crochet into the top of that cluster there. Okay, so we've got our cluster going that way and then a cluster going that way. So once more, 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, yep, and then 4 trebles together into that 3 chain space from the previous row. One, 2, 3, 4. Finish that off, chain 1 and a double into that cluster there, and then 1 more time, 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and then with 4 trebles into that 3 chain space, 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, pull it all the way through, and this time instead of doing chain 1 here and then double crochet into the top, we've got nothing to do that with here, so we're just going to go straight with a treble into that double crochet we did at that very start of that first row, and then that brings us up into the right place to start working our 3rd row. Okay, so to start off our 3rd row, we chain 1, turn the work around, and then we're going to do a double crochet into that cluster there, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then do our 4 trebles together into each of those 3 chain spaces from the previous round in the same way, and we're going to carry on until we get to the end. So I'll probably just speed this up a little bit because you've got the idea of it now. It's the same stitch that we're sort of repeating all the way along. Nothing really different apart from when we get to the ends. So we're just continuing to do our clusters in the same places as before and our double crochets into the top of the clusters. So I'm just coming to the end now of my last cluster, and this time we've got this 5 chain space here. Do you remember we did 1, 2, 3 to replace the treble, and we got the 2 chains there. So what we're going to do is we do the chain that we normally do after the cluster. So, and then we're going to just do a double crochet into that chain space there. So when you end on a row that has the 5 chains, you always do a double into it, and then when you end on a row that has a double from the previous, you do a treble into it. Right, so you're just going to repeat the 2nd and 3rd row now. So rewatch those to carry on doing, to know what you need to do next, but it's literally just repeating that now all the way until you're finished, and that's it. So if we have a look at the finished one, you'll see it's got this lovely texture to it. Very simple, you're just repeating the same 2 rows over and over again, and I think it couldn't be any lovelier than that, really, so you can really get into it. Like I say, I think that a variegated yarn would really show off the range of sort of the pattern, and it would probably get make it look even more difficult to see how you've done it, which is always quite nice, isn't it, when you've done a stitch that people can't really see how you've done it. But yeah, I love it. So yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this video. I'd love a thumbs up if you did, and why not hit that subscribe button down there so you get notified of when I upload new videos. So that's it for this week, and I thank you for watching. Take care. I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Hi everyone, it's Olivia from Girlybunches, and in this week's video I've got a little tip video for you. It's a very short little video, but it's a really useful tip.